Hey guys, what's up? Time for some anniversary reviews here on LegendBTV. Yeah, basically I'm starting this thing where like if an album is special to me and it is having its birthday, I'm going to review it. I have a couple planned for review, but here's the first one in this series. Uh, basically, here's the story of it first before we get into the album. 2015 was a huge year for me in terms of music. It's the year where I started actually really looking at music and finding other artists, not just hit music that I was like so into back in 2014. But then I just realized there's other music out there besides it, and like a lot of it just doesn't even given a chance by most people. So that just listen to hit radio and stuff. So, but actually, this guy did score a hit. So you know, so can't really argue too much there. But basically, 2015 was also a big year for EDM / electronic artists. Like many artists, if you were unaware, that year released an album, and lots of albums were released by the likes of Avicii, Alesso, Disclosure, Years and Years, Steve Aoki, Cascade, Galantis. Yeah, lots of people released albums that year, and one of them just happened to be my pick, and it is Alesso's Forever. This album is turning 2 years old, I believe, and yeah, basically this album is special to me for a few reasons. First of all, like I like Alesso. His brand of DJing, honestly, it's like it kind of sounds like every EDM artist out there, but he's just got this little unique twist he puts on his production that really just kind of makes him stand out a bit more from his competition. Honestly, Alesso is one of my favorite DJs. Not my favorite, that is Calvin Harris, but this is one of my favorite DJs, and his album Forever explains why. I'm going to get into the review right now. So basically, this album is a bit different than your average dance album. There's some different sounding tracks like Profondo and Payday. Profondo is basically like an intro into Payday. Like Profondo is basically the intro track, and it's the first track. So yeah, it's the intro to Payday. It has this like really jumpy beat, but it's just kind of like the Profondo one's kind of slower, and it's just kind of like just kind of a build up into this next track here. And honestly, I kind of like it. It took me a few listens to grow on both of these tracks because they weren't like the usual melodic progressive house that I'm used to. But honestly, I did grow around these tracks. Honestly, for this record, I'm going to talk about my initial reaction compared to my now reaction. Initially, I thought the album was just another generic EDM record. Honestly, I thought there was nothing special about this album at all, aside from two tracks that I will mention. If It Wasn't For You and Cool featuring Roy English. Both of those tracks I thought were, really catchy, really well done with some good vocals and everything. But I found the rest of it just to be generic filler, honestly. I didn't find many of the singles to be that great, aside from Cool and Heroes. And I didn't find many of the tracks to be really that interesting. Luckily, thankfully, though, I actually gave the record a few more chances. And honestly, it grew on me a lot, and I really love this record now. I think it is smartly smartly written, well produced, and just has a nice style from Alesso that honestly I feel like this guy really deserved a debut album. And I hope DJs are still producing albums. I mean, if this guy isn't going to produce another album, that would be a shame because this album's great. I'm going to get into that right now. Honestly, my favorite tracks are Cool featuring Roy English, Sweet Escape featuring Sirena, If It Wasn't For You, like I mentioned, In My Blood, because In My Blood's a really special track to me. The drop isn't the best on here, but the build-ups are what's really amazing about this track. Like, the second build-up, when it's like, 'Cause you are burning, or whatever, and it's like, this like guitar is like, just soars, like, with sonic capacities and everything. It's just really pleasing to my ears. Add to that a great vocal guest by, I don't know who, there's not a feature labeled on here, so I don't really know that, but I do know this is a great track. in my opinion at least. Um, and also, can't forget to mention the Calvin Harris and Alesso feature, Under Control. Honestly, I mean, some would say it sounds a lot like Summer, which I would agree. They sound similar, but they don't sound the same. I mean, you can't really say it sounds the same. There's a different melody, and of course, Hertz is a different singer, different kind of singer than Calvin Harris. I mean, he sounds completely different. So saying that your tracks sound the same would just be like, you know, kind of ignorant. But not to hate on anybody, but yeah, I've heard people say that, and honestly, I feel like the tracks, are a bit different because Alesso really brings in the bass groove. Like the melody, that sounds completely Calvin Harris. It just sounds like Calvin Harris's usual brand of progressive house and the kind of style he had on Motion, his 2014 record. But the groove, there's a nice groove in the song, and I can tell that's all Alesso right there. So thank you, Alesso, for that. There's also some tracks with OneRepublic. One of them being the If I Lose Myself remix from Alesso versus OneRepublic, and the other being Sweet Escape featuring the one of them is Scars featuring Ryan Tedder. And both of these are really nice tracks. Scars took me definitely a bit to grow on, as did If I Lose Myself, because I thought honestly they were too slow, too poppy. But honestly, I feel like that's the genius of them, especially If I Lose Myself, which honestly I really like the melody on that. And OneRepublic's Ryan Tedder is a nice vocalist, I'll admit. So overall, I think the album has some great features, some great beats, and honestly, just it's a nice style, and not every track sounds the same, which I like about that. There's some nice sounding tracks like Destinations and Immortal towards the end of this thing. So honestly, I'm going to go with I'm thinking a good to strong 8 out of 10 on this. Honestly, I really like this record. Really love it. Actually, I love this record actually, and I think this is great. Highly recommend. I mean, you guys may have forgotten about this record, but I hope you guys know that Alesso is still producing music out there. Those of you who just know him from Heroes, this guy is not a one-hit wonder. Well, maybe on the top 40 in America he might be so far. But this guy's got other great songs out there, like I Want to Know featuring Nico and Vinz, Falling, his new single, love that song, and Take My Breath Away. Those three are great songs in my opinion, and if you want a more radio-friendly track for you top 40 lovers, I would go with I Want to Know featuring Nico and Vinz. It's a very commercial track that just missed being a hit, like for real. I mean, it had some traction. It actually got played some radio stations, but it just it didn't get that commercial success like it should have, which is sad because it's a great song. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I'm LegendBTV. Hope you enjoyed this review of Alesso's Forever, the 2-year birthday anniversary edition. Birthday anniversary, yeah, I used both those words in that sentence. Alright, but I hope you guys love this video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell for more videos. Anything I can do to improve my presentation, let me know down in the comments below. And I'm out of here.